Hi quilters, Mary with Merry-Go-Round Quilts here. Today I'm going to show you a fun beginner-friendly design called Circle in a Circle. This can be used as an all-over design on your quilt tops, and I'm going to break it down for you step by step so that you can become a more confident free motion quilter. Let's get started. The basic design of a circle in a circle. I'm going to start over here on the right. I'm going to make a circle. It's not a perfect circle, but it's a circle. Once I join my starting point in that circle, I'm going to make another circle. And there we have a circle and a circle. So we start, we make a circle, we join. Once we're there, we're going to travel over. Once we join, we're going to travel over our stitching a little bit and make another circle, travel over that stitching again, and touch. And then we come out. We make a circle, we touch, travel over that stitching line, make a circle in the middle, travel over that stitching line to close it, and come out. Same thing with the other direction. Make a circle, you close it, travel over your stitching line, circle back over the stitching line to where you started, and come out. Circle, touch, circle inside, travel over that stitching, and come out. For this design, you can do it as an all-over pattern. I'm going to start with my first circle, touch, make a circle inside, travel back over my stitching line to the beginning, come out. I'm going to make a loop, and then I'm going to make another circle, touch, travel over my stitching line to make a circle in the middle, and come out. I'm going to make another loop, circle, second circle, and come out and make a loop. Now you don't have to make a loop in between your circle and a circle. It's just something that I like to do because it allows me to travel farther on my quilt top and take up some space, if you will, to where I can get done a lot quicker. I'm always about doing things faster. Again, let's do that from the left side. We're going to make our little bit of a tail there, make a circle, touch, circle inside, travel over our stitching, and come out. If you don't want to do a loop, let me show you how that looks. You'll just have to make a longer traveling vine, and then you can do your circle in a circle. You want to give yourself some space, so just make sure your vine is a little bit longer so you have some room. When I'm making my circle in a circle design, I do try not to have my inner circle on the same spot on every single circle, but it doesn't really matter. That's just my little quirkiness. So let's go ahead and stitch this out on the machine. Okay, I am working on this quilted layer. I'm making a duffel bag. So I've got my top and bottom fabric, and I've got a piece of foam in between, and that is what I'm quilting on. So let's start with our circle in a circle. I'm going to make my circle, doesn't have to be perfect. Make another circle in between, and I come out. I have decided that I'm going to be making a loop in between, or just kind of random in here, so that it takes up some traveling space. So I'm a big fan of the loops. So I come around, I make a circle, I join my circle when I get to that starting point, I'm going to trace over my stitching line ever so slightly to make another circle in between, and again come back into the stitching line of where I started. Loop, circle, touch. Now you can start your inner circle anywhere along here. If you want your inner circle to be on this side, then start making your circle here. If you want it to be over on this side, stitch onto this line to where you want to be and then start making your circle. I like to somewhat keep my circles a little bit random so that they're not, the inner circle is not in the same place on all of them, like in a straight line or anything like that. I want it to look more random, so as you're looking ahead, try to decide where you're going to make your inner circle. And come out. You don't have to do the loops in between. Like I say, that just helps me to travel around my quilt and get it done a little bit faster, covering some of that real estate. Do 2 loops in there just to get out of that awkward space. If you don't travel exactly right over your previous stitching line when you're doing your inner circle, that's okay. Just, on the next one, try to get a little closer. Mine are not always on top of the stitching line. Another option is when you're doing this design, you can make more than one circle in there. You can make 2 circles inside your first one. Another option is to make your inner circle first and then your outer circle around that. Some people do find that easier than making the outer circle first and then going along on the inside. Now we want free motion quilting to be fun for you, so you do whatever is most comfortable for you. Another thing I like to do when I'm making my loopy vines is I get kind of an exaggerated curve here when I'm making my loops. I think it just looks a little bit nicer instead of just a little bit of an arc and then a loop. I like to kind of exaggerate it more so that I can get into smaller spaces. Keep on going. The circles do not have to be perfect. I'm sure if you put a quarter up to these circles, you would see that they are not perfect. It's just what you can see from afar, and it looks like all circles. Do a few more here. The other nice thing about this design is you can make your vine as long as you need to get out of a space where you're at. So I'm kind of here on this inside area, so I just want to make a longer vine to get out of there. I'm taking this kind of close to my edge because I have to put on a zipper. Oops, I'm a little bit off there. This one's going to be a little bit really close to the edge. And as I'm coming out of my circle, I'm naturally, on this one, going in this direction of up. So when you're coming out of your circle, go in the direction that keeps on following the curved line that you just made. I'm not stopping and trying to go a whole another direction. I'm just going in the path of least resistance and following that curved shape all the way around. Fill in this edge. I have several of these pieces to do. All of the pieces need to be quilted. So I thought this was a nice design that I could get done quick because I'm always a little impatient and want to finish my projects in a hurry. So there you have the circle and a circle design.